Today is a special upload. As you can possibly hear it, I dedicate this video to Nurgle himself, because the Plague Father has blessed me with the beautiful gift of being horrifically sick for 3.5 weeks straight. This is not a joke. Right now, I'm either still dealing with the lingering symptoms of something horrid, or I'm getting a third one. I don't know. I forgot what it feels like to be healthy. I'm struggling, but we don't stop the content. I'm gonna do my damnedest. So today we're talking about the champion of Nurgle himself, all around pretty fucking nasty dude, Typhus the Traveler. A character who is like first captain of the Death Guard, the host of the Destroyer Hive, a dude who is just a walking zombie apocalypse. That's all he does. He just makes zombies. Gotta love him for that, I guess. And he sails around in his gross fur-covered ship. But real quick, let's get into his background. So Typhus wasn't always his name. I mean, I would hope you wouldn't. You grew up on a planet known as Barbarus, a place that is atmospherically just poison to live on. I hope you don't have the really bad decision making of naming your child after a horrible disease. That feels kind of in bad taste. But speaking of his birth, Typhus was actually born of a human mother and an overlord father. Specifically, when I say that, if you don't know, the overlords on Barbarus were those Xenos psychers that enslaved the humans that lived on that planet. Specifically, psychers that specialized in necromancy. These dudes being the ones that also had Mortarion under their clutches, and when the regular other humans found out that, this woman had a kid with an overlord, she was promptly drowned. Just kill her, I guess. And this left Typhus with two things from this birth. First, a dead mom. Sucks. Second, he has this latent psychic ability, where he pretty quickly noticed, things kind of can just die in my presence. I can move things. He found out he was very psychically potent, and really quick he learned to master it. And really quick, when he started to master this power, this strange dude came rolling by, dude by the name of Mortarion, who had just escaped the overlords. And then, real quick, they got a connection because Typhus was the guy that actually found Mortarion and brought him to his village. And then real quick, a fast friendship was made, especially when Mortarion started doing the business to actually rise up and slay the overlords, with Typhus being a pretty integral part of that. This dude kicks ass. Until eventually, Big E came around, rediscovered Mortarion, and the actual Death Guard Space Marine Legion was born. So now Typhus was on the fast track, as many named characters during the Horus Heresy are, where he very quickly became first captain of the Death Guard, being the right-hand man to Mortarion himself. There was of course some issues, mainly because he was a very potent psyker, and Mortarion had a massive hate boner for anything related to the war. To be honest, I don't completely blame him with his upbringing. That is a fair reaction. So Typhus had to keep that shit mega under wraps. So much that he actually, to keep his cover, he saved a bunch of Sisters of Silence from getting killed. He jumped on a crack grenade, which I want to make that very noted. The Sisters of Silence, the people that if you're a psyker standing next to one, you're in excruciating pain and want to gouge your own eyes out kind of deal. He tanked it to keep that cover. Also, extra fun little detail, really early on in the Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy timeline, Typhus immediately started worshiping the Chaos Gods. It was pretty quick, to the point where the Luna Wolves were still called the Luna Wolves. It was pretty quick. He just started worshiping the Chaos Gods, and to the point where he wasn't even really loyal to Mortarion at that point. He was still working with them, but his true allegiance was to the Chaos Gods. And luckily for him, soon his own legion would turn in that favor, as Mortarion started agreeing with some of the stuff Horus was laying down and decided to rebel against the Emperor, to where the heresy happened. And also, Typhus, he's the guy that completely orchestrated the Istvan III virus bombing. That's his decision. He set that up. But then, of course, the heresy happens as it happens, but there's still a main problem. And it's the fact that Typhus is over here, absolutely basking in this glorious chaos business, and Mortarion isn't buying it. he doesn't want to deal with all this warp shenanigans. So what's a man to do? Well, he makes a deal with everyone's fun little piece of shit, Erebus, and decides to make a little scheme. So first things first, he frames the navigators on the Terminus S, their flagship, to the fact that they're all working for Malkador the Sigillite and that they're all Imperial spies. So he executes them. But oh no, now they're stuck in space with no navigators. How are they going to travel the warp? Well, lucky for Mortarion, Typhus happens to be a psyker. So he can actually navigate through the warp. Just trust him. You can trust him with the controls. Like, definitely. To where Mortarion very reluctantly agreed, and then Typhus immediately steered the ship right into Nurgle's domain in the warp, landing them right dead center to where Nurgle immediately assaulted their ship with some horrific plagues and giant bugs, to where everyone else dying horribly, getting burrowed in by these things known as like destroyer flies, warp-based flies that lay eggs in people, eat you, turn you into a nest kind of deal. And the only one who said differently, as everyone else was horrific, horrific pain, all Typhus said was more. And he ascended in that moment, accepting the gifts of Nurgle, and became the host of the Destroyer Hive, to where now he has giant flies living inside his body and he's a walking contagion. Very cool for him. The others, not so much. Mortarion, absolutely pissed, but sadly he was now put in the position of you and your Legion are put through the most excruciating pain ever, or you can just team up with Nurgle and it's all gone. All the pain is gone. Now you're just happy. Mortarion reluctantly agreed, and now the entirety of the Death Guard were all chaosified and allied with Nurgle, to where they then took part in the Siege of Terra. But yeah, then the siege happened the way it happened. Not a lot extra interesting stuff happens, other than just he worked with the first captains to summon a big demon inside the Imperial Palace. Whatever. The siege went its way. But what about current 40k? What's Typhus currently doing? Well, he's got the Terminus S, and he's traveling, much like his name implies, Typhus the Traveler. He goes around spreading the gifts of Nurgle, and also being really upset with Mortarion. Because Mortarion, instead of basking in all this glory of chaos, is moping, and kind of just upset and not wanting to do much. Really hitting the stagnancy of Nurgle. And Typhus, pissed, because he's wasting away all these gifts. So he goes around, much like the fact that he is a host to a bunch of horrible flies, he's literally that. I think you can describe this man as a fly to the Imperium, not in the fact that he's small and insignificant, but to the fact that he's so fucking annoying and won't leave. Because Typhus gets involved with so much shit. I can run down a quick little list of them. Primarily, his favorite, going around to different shrine worlds and raising zombies and destroying everything, turning the entire populace into zombies, spreading those plagues. He created an actual computer virus and let it loose on the planet of Metallica, one of the main forge worlds for the Mechanicus. And I do mean that as like a virus, not a coding thing. It's a computer virus. He made this in specific in this thing known as the War of the Spider, where he was real upset that Fabius Bile had a Nurgle artifact, tried to go fight him, and then got his ass beat because it's Fabius Bile and he was being outsmarted the entire time. There's also the time he was trying to use some really weird chaos artifact that like was dealt with in Caliban, and he got a bunch of the Fallen, and he was gonna make the Death Angels like a renegade chapter by making a bunch of fallen Dark Angels turn Nurgleified. A plot that was then later paused by fucking Azrael and Cypher working together. He also was so annoying during the 13th Black Crusade. His job, spread more zombie plagues. What else would he be doing? Because he's running distraction. He's trying to spread out all of the Imperium's forces, so they gotta deal with all these different plagues as Abaddon is gearing up to actually assault Cadia. Or doing literally the same thing during the Ultramar invasion from the Nurgle forces when Mortarion himself was going down to go kill Rabute Gilliman. He was all in the outskirts of Ultramar, taking over these planets until eventually Nurgle sent him some orders like, you know, some demon worlds are being attacked by the other rival chaos powers, go defend them, to where then Typhus took a large contingent of the Death Guard forces under Mortarion's control with him. much to Mortarion being very pissed. Like, can you just wait until we're gonna go murder Gilliman with the Godblight? And he's like, nah, get fucked, Morty. And then left. So that's his entire existence. You could just sum up the rest of him. He's flying around in this furry, weird ship, spreading around flies and zombies, giggling his whole thing, really rejoicing in the fact that he got a really interesting personal gift as his own Man Reaper scythe. It kills you if you even touch it. Like, if he just like pokes you with the scythe, not even cuts you, you'll just melt, because he got the gift of personally dipping it into the festering, disgusting runoff of Nurgle's throne. You know, you can imagine what that would do to somebody if you really want to. It's a gross image. But yeah, that's Typhus. Hopefully I'll make other content that's not Nurgle related when I'm not sick as fuck. But anyways, if you like that, like, comment, subscribe, do that stuff, join my membership, and see ya.